sorts of crazy shit happening at the ranch today. Hey, is this I can't believe there's no one in the chat already. Hey, tell us if it breaks up at all because we're testing out our
Wi-Fi.
yeah, our Peplink
You're
router
telling me
here.
that Puto is not? What's he doing?
Literally, he's got like 10 people here, and there's a full-on shooting competition happening behind us.
And then there's a memorial workout too. Hey,
Oh,
is this thing public? Did I not make this public?
There's 12 people now.
Oh, okay.
memorial for who?
Someone's mom passed away, so they're doing a memorial workout here today. And then I don't know if you can see up on the hill, but there's a shitload of dudes.
Yeah, I see.
Playing cops and robbers.
That's fucking funny.
Hey, Taylor, did you notice something's weird going on with StreamYards? Like everyone's name changed, their handles changed when we go live now. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, that is weird. Mine doesn't say massive dong anymore.
Oh, it's pulling from it looks like not their handle, but like the URL. I wonder why if that's why everybody's names changed too.
Yeah, something happened at StreamYard.
Oh,
it's on YouTube too.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, so it's a busy day in Aromas, California. I thought maybe we were going to be able to get Dave on, but he's doing a shooting competition and he's running a memorial for a CrossFitter whose mom passed away. I wanted to there's this big story breaking around track and field, Grand Slam track event run by Michael Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I think he at one point had the world record in the 200 and the 400. I don't know if he still does, but let me read this to you off of Wiki. Grand Slam track is a professional track and field league first announced in 2024 by American former Olympic champion sprinter Michael Johnson. And the irony in this is that Souza was just on the Get With the Programming podcast, and he was doing some comparisons and some contextualizing the CrossFit sports ecosystem and the money it brings in relative to track and field, and specifically around just the spikes that are sold on the bottom of track shoes. After initially being announced in February 2024, the name of the league and other details were announced at a June 2024 press conference in Los Angeles hosted by John Anderson. And they had their first events this year. They were supposed to have 4 events, and the 4th event was supposed to be a qualifying event for the Track and Field World Championship. So they were off to a big start, right? They got a lot of buy-in from the track and field world, and they got $30 million in investors. It was announced in February 2024 as intentions to launch track and field league in 2025. So it was going to be a league. It was announced that the league would include a series of events during the track season between April and September, though events ended up only running through June. So there was supposed to be the finals of a 4-event series, and it was supposed to be today, I believe.
In LA.
And in Los Angeles, and the winners of that would also qualify for some world championships. It was Johnson, along with billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackerman, were reported to be investing millions of their own money in the league. The announcement of the league in February 2024 came with the stated aims to increase the boost to the sport of track and field. So there's 4 million, according to Google, there's 4 million track and field athletes in the United States, 6 years old and older. So it's a huge ecosystem in terms of bodies. The estimated track and field ecosystem revenue is $20 billion a year. I'm assuming that means track coaches, cleats.
It's spikes.
Spikes,
we talked about
hurdles, just all the different,
all
the things you can buy, sweatbands, all that stuff. So they did their first 3 events, and they, depending on what metric you use to determine what's successful, they were streamed incredibly well. The commentary was great. The broadcast was great. Everything was beautiful. All the venues were absolutely insane. But the broadcasting deals and the sponsorship money did not come in like they planned. And so they get to the 4th event that was supposed to take place today, and they ran out of money. And the story is with these track and field athletes is even some of the biggest names in the sport work at Walmart, work at UPS. And the only way, the top prize money for winning the Grand Slam event for first place was $100,000, and they paid down to, I think, 8th place, which paid $10,000. Now, guys, this is an Olympic sport.
Yeah, this reminds me of something. It reminds me of the first version of the Grid League.
Yes.
You remember they had all the big spaces? Wasn't it like Madison Square Garden or just something absurd too?
Yes.
And then halfway through the season, they had to restructure the whole thing. And I think they ended up ditching all the other locations and just moved to like one location where they hosted out the rest of the events or something like that.
I remember there being one at the rec center at UC Berkeley. I went to that one. Here's another thing you should know. The athletes that have been interviewed after these events are very pleased with the events. They said that the athletes were treated so well, and they couldn't believe how professional it was and how well it was run. And the fans were thought that it wasn't as exciting as maybe they thought it was going to be. They also restructured the way Michael Johnson talks about the Grand Slam event. Is it's not going to be track and field; it's just going to be track. So they picked just the most interesting and exciting events to sort of prop up and catapult track and field moving forward. So, on top of all that, as they entered into the 4th event, Grand Slam had $2.8 million in unpaid bills and prize money. $2.8 million. And my take on it is this. Just like CrossFit, there's only room for one successful competitive event a year, and that's the CrossFit Games. Now there can be other events.
What do you mean by successful?
Yeah, well, that's the big question, right? What do you mean by successful? That's the metric that we would need to figure out. But we've always known that affiliate fees subsidize the CrossFit Games. We've always known that equipment sales and tax deductions subsidize the rotational, right? And it is a huge miss, I think, for people to think that something can be forced to grow quicker than it wants to grow, and everything needs to be done to scale. So a perfect example of that would be the Crash Crucible. It's as good as an event can be, but still within the bounds of reality. This Grand Slam had all the biggest stars. They were missing like just 2 people of all the biggest stars in the sport. And yet with $30 million, they couldn't even make it past 3 events.
10 mil an event. What a fucking waste of money.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
And if you dig into it, if you go over to YouTube and you type in Grand Slam track, there are some great videos that break it down, and you can see that it is very similar to the WTF. Like very, 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 very similar. Now, no one's wishing for these events not to be successful. No, everyone. It would be great if there was that buy-in.
I wish WFP is not successful.
Wait, why?
Because they're liars.
How so?
If they would have said from the start, fuck the games, we're here to take over, okay, I would respect it. But they're lying, and they have an affiliation that has zero value for anyone that pays for it. And they lie about what you're going to get. They're not forthright. So, yeah, I hope the WFP falls on its big, fat, ugly face.
And let me also say this Grand Slam track event, these 4 events that Michael Johnson started, it had buy-in from the national body, which makes $60 million in revenue a year. It had buy-in with that, and they actually were a qualifier for that. So maybe that's the miss with the Big W, that they weren't working hand in hand, even though it didn't seem to be enough for track and field. They weren't working hand in hand with the CrossFit Games. I mean, it is interesting that this is the first year that anyone could have put a bid in to be a qualifier for the games, and the Big W didn't try to make that bid, or at least not that I know of.
Yeah.
That would have seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's curious. I'm trying to think, like, what's the common factor in deciding that it was a good idea? So rather than like deciding the one thing that would like make it work, I'm trying to put myself inside the head of like the people that are forming this. So when they're sitting down at the table and they're like, okay, how will this work? How is it going to be sustainable? Like, is this bringing enough value to the marketplace to bring eyeballs to it, right? Consistently over a long period of time. Like, I'm just super curious as to like, what did they, as they went through and they started like testing some of this stuff in terms of just like their ideas, I mean, testing their ideas, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, I wonder what type of feedback they were getting and who they were talking to.
Hey, Souza, for the athletes, by the athletes.
Yeah.
Same thing. Michael Johnson, famous track star, wanted to do something for his peer group. Pretty noble. But he didn't bring something to market. He didn't bring something to market that society wanted. He brought something to market that the athletes wanted. And these athletes are no different than CrossFit Games athletes in the sense that they have day jobs. Two of the biggest stars. One of them works at Walmart. One of them works at UPS.
Right.
And they go on to say, even with the $100,000 payout, don't think for a second that this is a job. The only way track and field athletes can sustain a living, make a living, is through sponsorships. And if they don't have that, then they continue to work at Walmart.
I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, there's just certain, because if you think about in terms of like the larger sports, there's so much like fandemonium and there's so much stuff being purchased, whether it's merchandise, whether it's live ticket sales, whether it's broadcasting packages, you know, all that type of stuff. And it just seems like it's just a simple supply and demand issue.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, look at Caitlin Clark, biggest, bigger than the WNBA herself, and yet 9 out of 10 of her teammates, when their career's done with the WNBA, they'll be getting a coaching job at the local high school.
Yeah,
that's the reality,
right.
And I'm not saying you can't aspire for more, but that's the reality until.
I just don't think there's enough like, think about people's attention spans these days and what they're into and all that type of stuff. Like, I just think there has to, like, you have to be bringing a lot to it in order to hold eyeballs for that long. And I just don't think like the athletes in and of themselves are able to do that. I think it takes a whole bunch of factors to make something interesting, exciting, and to make you pay money to either go watch it or watch it on your TV.
I was looking at a write up of some excerpts from their business plan, and one of the big bullet points from the Grand Slam was to really get people invested in the athletes and tell their stories and tell their backstories. And it's like, yeah, it's one thing to say it; it's another thing to execute on it and then actually get purchase from the fans. I wonder what percentage of quote unquote professional athletes retire when their profession's over. I bet you it's less than 3%. I bet you 97% of them have to go on and get day jobs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unless you're in one of the big major league sports.
I mean, I bet you even the NFL. You think more than 3% of those guys?
A buck ton of guys in the NFL have to get day jobs after they're done. You get a $500,000 contract, and when they do your first year, buy a $500,000 house. And then 3 years later, their contract's up and they get hurt and they're done. You got to pay the mortgage, buddy.
Yeah.
You haven't been saving your fucking money. You've been buying 3 cars and the big fucking house. You're living, you're that fucking second string lineman. You're living to the same means that the starting quarterback is living to. That's your peer group. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's how all these guys are.
I've known many a person to buy a nice house in California and the property tax be between $60,000 and $100,000 a year. And 5 years later, when their job's gone, they can't pay the property tax. They can't even pay the fucking property tax on it.
Yeah.
And so that Grand Slam event, that track and field event, for anyone who wants to see a strong parallel, and maybe even the people at WFP should look at it, make sure that they don't make that same.
Well, what are we missing?
Mistake?
What do you think we're missing? Because like, what do you think they sat down and were like, okay, we can make this work. We don't mind, like, whatever. We're billionaires or whatever the thing they're throwing around. So we could foot the bill for a long period of time. At some point, somebody had to say, like, hey, what's going to be the main driver to keep this thing along for a long period of time? Like, what are we selling?
Sponsors.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, though, because then the second question you have to ask is, like, how do we keep the businesses healthy to sponsor the events?
Well, the important thing is to make
the athletes have hundreds of thousands of followers, Souza. Don't you get it?
Geez. Dude, I could have 100,000 followers by the time we finish this podcast.
That's what Jackson and Will. Listen, look at the 3 people behind business decisions at the WFP. Jackson, Will Morad, and Ryan fucking husband, you own a Christian apparel company, dude. What are you guys doing with millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to start a rival for the CrossFit Games off of your parents' money? Are you... It's a rhetorical question. They're way out of their fucking league.
Yeah.
Way out of their league.
I think I don't know if I would say they're out of their league, but I think that they should have started small and built. If they
So
had
they're
a
out of their
5
league. That's what that means.
so if you have a 5-year plan, so we've come out here to the ranch today to test the internet because there's always been a massive streaming problem here, and we think we've fixed this streaming problem. We're pretty sure we have. We cracked the code on it. So we're thinking about doing an event out here. And do you know what the first event would be? Just 2 people, just one-on-one. Just have 2 local.
1v1.
Yeah, just have 2 local CrossFitters come out here, shoot the event, stream it. It's I don't want to shit on them for their aspirations. I mean, shit, if people don't dream about going to Mars, then no one's ever going to go to Mars, right? And of course, there's going to be people out there who tell you, no, we're never going to Mars, and fuck those people. So on one hand, I applaud them for making the moonshot. But they're so young and they have so much time. And the goal to try to get every big name athlete as opposed to maybe just one. I think that they
overextended.
Yeah, it's like when you pick up too many things off the ground and then you fumble them and you start dropping things. You ever pick up tennis balls on a tennis court and you get past 7 and you're basically wasting your time? You start dropping balls.
Right.
And it's like,
what's interesting too is I wonder if it's, and I'm going to call it the Rosa effect, right? And I know that there's probably an actual term for this, but sometimes when people are successful in one realm and they get a massive success, they think that could carry over into anything else they do.
Right.
And there's multiple examples of people being great or really successful in one industry or in one business or one sport, and then they go to move to something else. Like, I was great at basketball. I'm gonna start investing in venture capital, and they just fucking lose all their money. Or the vice versa. But hey, I was really good at venture capital. I was really good at this one industry, and we were able to build this business out of it. Now I have all these resources, and I'm just gonna dump it into this other thing and think that it's gonna carry over, and that success will mean the same thing in the different industries.
The Grand Slam track event. You have top 5 most famous track star in the world, Michael Johnson, and Bill Ackerman. Top 100 richest men in the world. They come together, and this shit can't even make it past 3 fucking events. They could, they had to cancel their finals. Imagine the planning. And by the way, they executed perfectly from what I hear.
Hey,
I heard the event was beautiful. The streaming was beautiful. The venues were beautiful. Go ahead, Taylor.
Do the Gillettes have more money than Ackerman?
Well,
no. They have billions valuation of their company. Billions.
Yeah, but how much are they?
Bill's a big dog, man.
I mean,
I think Bill was given $100 million to Harvard.
Wow.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. How much do they want to put into it with no return? That's a great question. We're gonna find out because they're not going to get a return. If he thinks that's
he's worth $10 billion. Ackerman's worth $10 billion.
Okay, so the Gillettes are 1/10 maybe. If PC thinks that that's the case, that they're shooting for a TV deal, TV deal. There has to be drama and entertainment for a TV deal, you fucktards. No one wants to watch them half-assed.
That's the thing. The Grand Slam event, 4 million built-in viewers, participants, participatory sport. Their TV deal didn't bring in the money that they thought. Their sponsors didn't bring in the money that they thought.
And they had those deals.
They overestimated, and they had those deals. They overestimated everything that they thought that they had. And they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. They could have scaled 30. I don't know if you know the story about ESPN, but it was in a nutshell. The quick story is that for 20 years they put in more than 30 million a year, and they lost all 30 million. And it was basically Getty money. It was oil money, and it was one of the Getty guys. It was just his hobby company. And after he took it from the father and son that started it, and that's 300 million, $600 million they threw away before they made a single cent of profit.
Damn.
I mean, that's not a sustainable business model. ESPN has an extremely unique story.
And ESPN covers every sport on the planet.
Right.
This isn't just CrossFit. It's not just track. They cover every sport. They cover fucking cornhole, dude. Everything. Fencing, cornhole. If there was a fucking dick sucking contest, ESPN would cover it. PC would win.
No sponsor shows up and says, "Oh wow, look at the empty stadium. Here's a TV deal."
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for, because like if you, in order to get sponsors, you have to attract companies and brands big enough to where either they're going to say like, hey, we want to be associated just because we want more awareness with this audience, or you use a company that's inside the industry. So that way they're like, hey, we're inside of CrossFit. We want to sell to a lot of CrossFitters and you guys have all the eyeballs. So we want to be here. So that way we can capture it. I don't see without first looking at it and saying like, realistically, what's the audience size that we could build in year 1 or year 2, right? And then with that audience size, say, okay, what type of numbers would attract with sponsorships? So, and you could probably calculate it out and just get a general idea, right? So we have 100 eyeballs, it's worth $1, let's say. And then you could start to run just some very rough calculations and just be like, holy shit, like, is this even feasible? Or is the model broken before we even start?
$2.8 million already in unpaid prize money and contracts they have after 3 events. It's crazy that people poo-poo CrossFit. Everyone should be thanking HQ. And like I said before, if you want to participate and you want to actually grow the sport, there's only one way to do it. It's to sign up for the Open. Because at the end of the day, if the sponsors see, holy shit, 700,000 people sign up for the Open, it's twice as big as the largest participatory sport that ever in the history of the world. That's the only thing that's going to draw sponsors in. No, there's no amount of big TV deals or big sponsor deals. That's just money coming in and money going out, and it's not going to be sustainable unless you have a ton of buy-in from the community. And splitting away and causing this division and basically making people choose. It's funny because there's some pundits out there who think that somehow we've taken sides. It's not that we've taken sides. The athletes have taken sides. A handful of the athletes have taken sides. That's where the division is.
I've taken side against WFP.
Okay, well, there's you.
Yeah, but you're closer to an athlete than we are, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're one of the asshole athletes.
We don't care. We just need permission to stream at both.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. This track and field event once again had buy-in from everyone. The WTF wanted to just go out and do it alone. And I think that they're getting the fruits of those efforts.
I wonder if they're going to start struggling with like logistics wise, because even though we're so enamored by their money and the evaluations and whatever we're assuming, they're not like, they don't have a paid logistics staff. They're using the same volunteer group that would show up at the games or at some of these other events, right?
Yeah,
so,
dude.
When you talk about athlete fatigue, having too many opportunities or too much competition, what about fucking volunteer fatigue?
Right.
I mean, there's certain things.
Or you have to guess they're leaning on Rogue pretty hard too, and Rogue has its limitations also.
Absolutely, and at the same time, Rogue is the same one of those big sponsors that's looking at this and saying, "Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is our efforts here, time, people, and money worth whatever it is that they're doing, that they're putting on?"
And they have a ton of resources.
Yeah.
Guys, don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about. Listen to Patrick Clark. Okay? If you want any real insights as to what's going to be successful, I mean, hey, he has the most successful media company in the CrossFit space. Be Friendly Fitness.
Jeez.
They're live streaming he's running media WFP. They're killing it, dude. They're killing it. They're putting AI fans in seats. Okay.
Big announcement coming for season 2. That's cool. And maybe they are gonna. Maybe it is to be affiliated with the CrossFit Games. Keeping it real, Patrick. I don't dislike you, but you're basically off your rocker, crack rock, methamphetamine mixed with Liver King type crazy. I've
Do
never
you think
gotten.
WFP?
I've never gotten that from you, Patrick, but that's an interesting take.
That's an
Do you think
aggressive one.
WFP would actually partner with CrossFit?
No.
You don't think CrossFit would allow WFP to
Yeah.
partner with them?
Where's the
Yeah, I think-
advantage, dude? Where's the advantage for either?
If WFP were like, hey, we'll take over all of the semifinals, we'll foot the bill for all of it. You don't think CrossFit would be like, all right, fuck it, sure.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, dude.
Yeah, I just don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
It sounds great, but like, why would they do that? What's in it for the WFP?
Buy
And they
buy-in
become the
from everyone else.
yeah,
Go
buy-in
ahead-
from
go ahead,
everyone else.
Taylor.
Now everyone has to watch it because it's a CrossFit Games qualifier. They want to watch it now, and I don't know. They monopolize essentially the semifinal space. I mean, I think that's what they should do. They should say,
and the
hey,
hand,
we're gonna
and the handful of crybaby athletes that are going to retire in the next year or two anyway will be bought in.
Kicking and screaming on their way out.
But
Patrick,
don't get it twisted. If track and field can't do it, that should be a
Big warning sign
huge.
flashing across your screen.
I mean, think of all the things you want to do with CrossFit. I want it to be in all the high schools. I want it to be in the Olympics. I want it to be this. I want it to be. They have everything, man. They have the 10 billionaire guy buying in. They have Michael Johnson. They had all the biggest athletes.
You would have a
They
better
have it in
chance.
all the high schools. They have it in all the colleges. It's truly a worldwide phenomenon. And yet, with $30 million, they couldn't make it to their finals. And they had the buy-in from the World Championships to qualify people for the largest track and field event in the world, yearly event. And it failed. And their broadcasting was perfect. And their venues were off the chart. I heard one of the events they built the track 8 feet off the ground. They built an elevated track at the venue.
Was that in Philadelphia or Miami?
I can't remember one of those. And they tinkered with the events. I think they tinkered with the events in order to make them more innovative and more crowd friendly. It's a huge reality check. The parallels are insane. The parallels are insane.
I think WFP probably copied their entire playbook, thinking they were going to be successful. Can you guys think of? I'm genuinely trying to think of 5 people who I talk more shit about than Patrick Clark. He's definitely top 5, right? And my mouth is fucking massive.
You don't really. When we're off the air, you don't really talk shit about anyone.
That's
only
right. But I'm just saying
that's actually true.
I was trying to think. I don't really hear you talk shit about anyone when we're just hanging
but
out.
PC's got to be up there, and this is the crazy part. My training program.
Well, it's because you're interacting with them. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
Taylor, go
my
ahead.
training program is so successful that even a guy who I talk shit about more than 99% of other people in the space still can't resist to buy my shit.
He knows you're great. He knows you're great. Hey, why don't you try saying 3 nice things about Patrick Clark?
Oh, here's something I'll say nice about Patrick Clark. I was paying Brian Friend's salary before he was.
Oh.
Hey, dude, don't talk shit about Sentinel, Brian. I used to employ, sorry, Patrick. Same thing, I guess. I used to employ your boy, your bottom.
Patrick has had incredible longevity in the space. He has a deep knowledge of
this fucking guy.
He has a deep knowledge of the subjective and objective realities around the space. He knows the drama and the stats. Patrick's like if me and Brian were the same person in one.
You think I just caught this fly?
Yes.
No. Oh yeah. One yes. Oh no. Negative. Thought I caught it.
So make sure you go over and look at that. Go over to YouTube, type in Grand Slam of Track. If you want to get a really solid perspective on something that looks almost exactly like CrossFit and the WTF, and you'll see it. In the all the research I've done, they did nothing wrong except overspend.
Right. I mean, it's just a bad idea.
Yeah, they did nothing wrong but overspend. No one's complaining about swearing in their broadcast. No one's talking about shaky cameras. No one's talking about the cameramen interfering with the event. I mean, they ran it perfect, and yet it's still It still failed. Just imagine, just think about this for a second. What if a week before NorCal, this is what whiny bitches we have in our space. Think about if a week before NorCal, because they only told the athletes a week before today that it wasn't happening. They gave them 1 week notice. Think about if a week before NorCal, Blair and Ben were like, hey, we're not doing the event.
No, the athletes would lose their minds.
Our community would fucking come unhinged.
Oh, man.
It wouldn't be like, hey, thanks for trying, dudes. I hope you're okay. Hey, whatever happened, that really sucks. It's like if an event organizer doesn't pay out its money, the community, the CrossFitters aren't like, oh my God, we'll all chip in money. Something bad must have happened. Or did the guy lose his house? Or what happened? Did his mom die? He has to pay for a funeral. No one gives a fuck. And it's just worth noting.
It's kind of almost like it's just an athlete mentality, right? Like, was it Greg that was saying anybody who's going to be really exceptional at the CrossFit Games typically does not make a good coach? And it's 100% true, because like, how could you, if you're solely focused on what you want to have happen and what you want to achieve? You can't start pouring yourself out into other people, into their dreams, into making that happen when yours is solely predicated on you working towards your goal. And I think that's just like, that's just a microcosm for what happened in entirety. So you have all these athletes that were really focused on what was good for them, and they didn't realize that it actually offered nothing to anybody outside of them. And so it's the same thing as like, you get this, we have, I got Tia in my gym, and I have so-and-so in my gym, and I got this coach. And then you think it's going to be this successful affiliate. Like, all these people are just going to come flocking because you have all the best named athletes in there. And it turns out they have no fucking community. All their coaches suck. And everybody else is just more so about their training time and their training hour. And they don't care about the experience or the other members coming through the door.
Who is that? Proven affiliate?
No, Proven Affiliate is actually wonderful. I saw one of their classes that went there, so it had nothing to do with that. I was just basically using that as like an example where you get these gyms that want to be competitive. They're going to start like, oh, I'm only going to have fire breathers in here, only badass people. And what they end up with is a shitload of problems, a shitload of complaining, and fucking everybody's broke that they're trying to serve, and the business model doesn't work.
There's a great example in Civilization like that. Thomas Sowell talks about it in one of his economy books. He basically says that the reason why the blacks and Hispanics have fallen behind the Asians make twice as much money as whites, and the blacks and Hispanics have fallen, is because the Asians put their head down and just focused on themselves and worked, where the blacks and Hispanics tried to do the social justice route and go into politics.
Right.
And when you look at that, you're like, wow. And you can see that there's some athletes that just put their head down, and like Dallin Pepper,
Austin Hatfield,
Colton Mertens.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to focus on what I can control, and I'm going. They're the Asians.
Probably be true even if there wasn't anything but the claim to the fittest on earth too.
You're right. And they don't get caught up in their social media. They don't get caught. They're just doing their thing. You don't see Dallin fighting with people on the internet. They're just doing them. There was a great comment in here, I think, from Patrick. I like the opening sentence. Well, what did it say? I have every reason to hate you. How is that?
I want to read this. Grant. He says, I love CrossFit, but it's not in demand. I disagree. I think the fittest on earth is in demand. People eat that up. People want to see the fittest on earth fight and compete to earn that title. But you're right. People don't want to watch 20 great athletes.
Yes.
Go 75% effort on Fran. No one gives a fuck about that.
And hey, listen, that's why it is a once a year event. It's called the CrossFit Games. If you want to do something else, start small. And if you're really lucky and really good, you'll end up with something like Crash Crucible.
Hey, the other thing too is, like Taylor said, people don't want to watch athletes. Absolutely right. Like, people don't want to watch anything we have to do with CrossFitters. Are the only ones that care. And once you see a reduction in CrossFitters, or people that even identify as CrossFitters, right? We got all these functional fitnesses or hybrid athletes or whatever the fuck it is now. And once you have people that like aren't identifying themselves as part of the CrossFit community, then you have less and less eyeballs.
The origins of the games are basically as such. Bunch of people working out in gyms and posting their scores. Sousa told the story on Get With the Programming the other day. Bunch of people were getting together all over the world and posting their scores on the internet on CrossFit.com. And one day, right back here, you could probably right there on that hill right there that you can see behind us, exactly right there. Greg and Dave were walking, and Greg said, "Hey, we should do a barbecue here and have a bunch of people here, and have them come and we'll look at and we'll have them compete." And the hopper that they pulled out the original workouts on is right back here. You can kind of see it. And so that was 2007, and everyone came here and just did workouts that were randomly pulled out of the hopper. That's the origins. No marketing, no promo, no streaming. And then in 2008, it happened again here. And then in 2009, it happened again. And that's when the county of Monterey said, "Hey, you can't do that here anymore." And it moved to Carson, where it should have never fucking moved. It grew too fast. And people started believing their own hype. And look at 20 years later, you have people like Fikowski who still believe the hype. And it's completely fucking delusional. It's completely delusional. Track and field, the grand slam of track and field, with billionaires, superstars, TV deals, and sponsors, and cooperation from the largest track and field organization in the world, failed. Couldn't even limp to the finish line in its first year, with no one talking about it being their fault. It just no one wanted to buy gumballs.
Just didn't work.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
I feel like that happens all the time, though, too. I mean, there's
you mean like failed businesses? Like
Yeah.
you open up an ice cream shop in Alaska and hey, no one wants to
I mean,
do it.
not yeah, that or just like even the ideas like in the tech world, like how much of those venture capital people heard this idea that maybe sounded good or the pitch sounded good, and everybody just kind of got sucked into this vision, and nobody really asked like the question of like, hey, is this gonna work? Like, how is this sustainable? Like, what does this look like? And it got funded and fucking went to zero. I mean, that happens all the time.
Dude, think of how many search engines there probably were at one time. There were probably thousands.
Oh, it was nuts.
Thousands of competitors with Google, yeah. And Google rose to the top. My contention is that there's really not room for any other big dogs in the space unless you can find some way to really subsidize it. Does the Gillette family have the ability to subsidize it and run it better than CrossFit HQ and the affiliate fees that currently subsidize it? Who knows? I think Susan and I had different views on the games for a long time, and I think more and more, we haven't talked about this, but I think more and more our views have come down to finally they're starting to align that the games needs its own CEO. And it needs to be its own business. It can run underneath the I don't think it should be broken away from CrossFit. I think it should be under the same ownership, right. But it needs and they don't spend any money other than what the open raises, sponsors raise, and it gets pared all the way down to whatever it can sustain on its own. It's time for it to get kicked out of mommy and daddy's house.
Yeah.
It can't live no more living in the basement. It's like time for you to do your own thing.
Yeah.
That test.
Send them off with a little pocket money and that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
And it needs to be rebranded as a test back to its roots, and that the games are the proving ground. And that's where we're at. And that it's CrossFitters.
I have this crazy moniker or tagline that WFP could have used had they partnered with CrossFit, but I'm not going to say it on the air because the idea is wild. It's so catchy.
Is it the only commercial brand feeding in care of the mitochondria?
Yeah. It's crazy catchy, dude. I can't wait to tell you guys it off the air. I can't wait to tell you guys it off the air. We're gonna use it for whatever event you start at the ranch. It's gonna be named this. You're going to fucking come all of yourselves when I say it.
I do have some very good news for you guys. This is the first ever affordable live stream ever done at the ranch that you guys are watching now. You guys are all part of the test. I haven't seen any complaints about the image glitching. And we're even in a bad spot.
Yeah, the location we scouted to put up like what would be the broadcast booth has even better connectivity than us here.
And so you could expect
where would you put the booth? I've been there. I want to know where you guys would put it.
On top of the hill, looking down at this stadium and then looking up at the other stadium.
Okay, so where the flat part is? Where the rig is, the log rig?
Exactly where the pig fell on you, dude.
Oh, nice.
In between the log rig and this bottom floor here, we would just set up a huge tent and you'd have all the commentators and media right in there.
Is there still a pile of feces and semen that Doug rolls around in from where I fell?
There's so much dog shit up on that hill.
They memorialized it,
and,
actually.
de-
It's
and, de-
weird.
and dead animal carcasses.
Nice.
All right. Anything else?
Good test. Hey, my opinion is like I was just thinking about right now, the WFP and like what we're seeing with like these basically the same thing of they're acting as CrossFit competitors, but not outright coming out and saying we're a CrossFit competitor. And I think the reason why they're like all these entities are like moving in the way they are is just because there's just such weak leadership. Who is holding the line for CrossFit? Like who
They're
is
scared
the person?
pussies.
And that's the one thing that I don't really understand. It's like, why would you not at least acknowledge certain things that are happening in the space and be like, hey, yeah, we're aware of these other entities and anything like that. And, you know, they could say whatever their piece there is. I don't know. It just, there's no, like, I don't feel that there's any direction. There's no opinions, whether you liked them or disliked them from anybody at HQ. It's like, they're just fucking, it's not, it's weightless. It doesn't like, what's their opinion? What's our vision? Where are we going? What the fuck is happening? How are you going to get more CrossFitters? How are we going to get more people caring about what we do?
And not everyone needs to be thinking about that, by the way. Some of you just need to be doing your job. Hey, by the way, I had this realization yesterday. This is a little off subject. Did you remember Lauren Stallwood's photo she took of her kazoo and posted on her Instagram?
Yeah, the oven mitts.
Yeah. Yeah. I told my kids it was a marshmallow. 'Cause they saw a zoomed in screenshot of it on my phone. They're like, "What's that?" I said, "A marshmallow."
You spraying your fingers doing the pinch zoom.
I like what
Holy
Jenny
shit.
said about it, that it's like 100 thread count. That's how thin that material is. But I was watching some other podcasts in the space, and this is what I realized. People always talk about you got to be vulnerable, or you got to be authentic, or you got to be able to have an opinion. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to like some of these other podcasts, they never land on any opinions. All they talk about is conceptual ideas and theories. They're afraid to say anything because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But I was thinking about that her account, and it has 400,000 followers, and she's been around forever, and she's hugely popular, and people love her to death. And if you are running media in the CrossFit space and you think that you can't talk about her squid and her post, if you don't think I'm not saying, now there's an important distinction here.
Squid.
There's an important thing here. I'm not saying you have to talk about it, but if you think that if you can't talk about it, you should just leave the space. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if for some reason you think it's inappropriate for your show, so HQ needs to run that litmus test. Lauren Khalil needs to. Clydesdale needs to. Talking Elite Fitness needs to. The Spin needs to. If you can't talk about something that someone with 400,000 followers post on their Instagram, because she's clearly cracked the code for success and popularity,
Yeah.
and athleticism. No one's questioning her skills. Then that means you probably shouldn't be in the space. Now, some people are going to misunderstand that and say you have to talk about it. I'm not saying that. But if you're afraid or you think you can't on your platform, then there's nothing authentic or real or tangible, or you're actually not offering anything to the space, and you should just leave the space. You should be able to talk about anything in the space. An athlete being too fat, an athlete being too skinny, an athlete sleeping with someone, an athlete setting a world record, an athlete doing steroids. If you can't talk about anything, then just leave the space.
And there's no point of the show at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You are not authentic. You're not real. You're not vulnerable. It's not vulnerable to be like, this is not vulnerable. I feel like some of the girls post inappropriate things. That's not vulnerable. That's not real. It's like, damn, look at her squid. That's crazy. I wonder what camera they used to shoot that. Did she think about that before she posted that?
Oh yeah.
Is that the key to success?
She saw it.
If you
saw it.
if you have to just stay out in the clouds, just leave. You're speaking to the woke audience. You're not adding value to the space. There's 1,000 people who can do what you do. And I keep hearing the thing I was hearing Lauren talk about. She's like, "Oh my God, my show's come unhinged." Her show has never even come within 1,000 miles of being unhinged.
Yeah.
It is the most. It's Sesame Street would be embarrassed at how clean her show is. At least Sesame Street has a character with AIDS now.
Damn, does it really?
I think they've had a character with AIDS for
They had to diversify diversity. That's how you do that.
You're good. Yeah,
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're worried
yeah.
about us, you can blast music. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, no. Rory, what's
Oh
up?
no, it doesn't matter.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, yeah. There's nothing. Our mics are so you could blast music. You could do whatever you want. Yep. Yeah. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you guys. Yeah, there's nothing. We're good. There's nothing you can do to interfere with us. We're good. Yep. Just don't kick over the Starlink. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a memorial workout. I was told not to pivot the camera around and show anything
Holy
in this
shit,
place.
this is crazy. Oh, nice.
Yeah, even though I'm not supposed to.
Yo,
They've told us
have
that
you?
we're not allowed to move out of this area or show anything outside of this area. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, he's gonna be pissed at you for that.
I know, probably getting a little bit of trouble. And JR's like screenshot that pivot and is like looking around for equipment and shit.
This dude.
By the way, there's no sign of anything games around us. Like
this dude who
no
put on 10 kilograms before competing at the enhanced games for swimming.
Oh yeah, that's amazing, right?
Fucking.
You know, we had the founder of the enhanced games on the podcast.
Yep.
That Indian dude. I need to get him on again. He was a horrible guest when I had him on.
God, my timeline is so weird. My For You page. What the fuck is that?
That's Bryson before he did Sentinel.
The fuck is that, dude? The fuck? Crazy.
All right. Make sure you watch the UFC tonight. Wow. By the way, whoever gave my phone number out for the show phone, congratulations. You really have you really fucked this phone up.
Did somebody really give your wait, is it the live call-in? They fucked the live call-in phone up?
Yeah, like anytime I hook it up to the Roadcaster now, people start calling me to sell me insurance or ask me when they should come to my house to get my furniture to move it, or it's just, and I used to never get text on here, and now I have today alone there's already 15 texts
From who?
Just stuff that says like, I'm Terry Virts. I've flown combat missions in command. Here, you need this. I understand you may be busy. Hi, Alan. It's Jennifer, health agent. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just.
Damn, who do you think did that?
I don't know.
Do you think that was malicious? Do you think that was malicious or like?
Oh
somebody
yes, yes. They did it to Glinton too, but for my show, it's good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's funny.
Man, fuck them.
Hey, do you think some of those people on the shows have formed an opinions? Like, have actually thought how I feel about something without, like, decoupled or away from any public appeal? Meaning, like,
who the athletes? You mean?
Yeah, like if they sit there and they're like, I like the color red, every color red, right? But then, like in their mind, they think about that. But then I show up and you and Taylor are like, oh, dude, we hate red. We only like blue. And so, like, as more and more that happens, or they think that certain people are worried, like, oh, if I give my opinion and it's not the popular opinion, or it seems to ruffle people the wrong way, like, it's not that important to me. I don't care that much.
Yeah, I think I think I used to be like that.
Yeah, so where you're not really willing to like stand up. I mean, stand up for something is kind of a big phrase for that. But
you mean like when you're with your wife, and a chick walks by with double D's and the craziest ass ever, and she has 6 inches of cleavage showing. You're like, should I point that out to my wife?
I'm like, who? Huh? Someone walked by? I didn't even see that.
Hey, I really hope anyone who participated in the PFAA, I hope that's what happened to them. I hope they were like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Or the black square people, or I heard this thing the other day that if you want to know who you really are, just look back to 2020 and 2021. Everything you saw, every way you saw people interact during COVID, that's who they really are.
Right.
And I said it on my show a couple of days ago. I know it's very self-serving, but if you like this show, you're probably a cool and happy person. And if you're offended by the show, you're probably a miserable piece of shit. Like, this show's a litmus test for how cool you are and you're happy. I can give you an evaluation.
Yeah. How long have you stuck around for?
The Luke Badong behind the scenes was awesome. Taylor, you and the CAC.
You on the CAC or did you resign?
Are you on the CAC or did you resign? By the way, Christian, you're my favorite person in the chat. Christian Kettler, I love that dude. You're the coolest.
They
Taylor,
promoted me. They have promoted me to head of athlete affairs after the Ackerman debacle.
what was the Ackerman debacle?
You know, when Taylor just crushed that dude's dreams.
Oh, when you were helping Nate Ackerman?
Yeah, when I fucking actually made him hit the right weight.
When he thought it was a partner deadlift. He was like, oh shit, it's not a partner deadlift.
Hey, the truth is that he thought Nate was going to win, and Taylor just wanted to be in the photo, the winning photo.
Hey, that thumbnail is incredible, though.
Hey,
that shit's all time.
Hey, dude, that's a microcosm right there of the world. 99% of the people who actually think they're helping are actually fucking someone up. That's a
wow.
perfect example.
Yeah, but I intended to do something so good.
Don't be mad at me. I was trying to help.
My intentions were so good. It's just a lack of like thinking things through.
I can't believe how quick you became clean when we were listening to the audio and you're like, I told him. I was like, oh my God. You were like the kid at school and the teacher's like, who broke the window? Who threw the rock at the window? Taylor's like, I did it.
I did, yeah. Dude, that's exactly like my buddy Joel.
Like, oh my God.
He flicked a penny one time in 7th grade, like one of these, like where you do it off the side.
Yeah.
And it took some gnarly angle. And we were sitting in the 2nd row and it just, right as the teacher turned, it just binged off her glasses so hard that it like moved them off her face and made a sound, but she didn't see who did it.
Yeah.
And she was like, who just threw that? Who did that? What was that? And Joel was like, oh, it was me. It was a penny. And everybody was like, what the fuck? You would have gotten away with it. Like nobody said shit. Half the class didn't even see.
Or at least I would have just taken a pause and been like, okay, let me think about how this is going to play out.
Yeah. Or you do the soft approach. I think it might have been my fault. Like where you just put the big toe in. I think I was the one that might have turned the thermostat up to 70 when we were in Sacramento.
Right.
It wasn't me, by the way.
All right, good.
Motherfuckers were saying that shit like I was soft or something.
All right. Thank you, Patrick Clark, for always being a source of great content. Taylor, thanks for coming on. See you guys later. Bye-bye.